with Katie Carey.
Good evening, everyone. It's been one setback after another. BP's latest attempt to control the oil gushing from the bottom of the Gulf had to be suspended again today. This time when a saw got stuck in the pipe it was cutting. It was finally freed, but it was another unwanted delay on day 44 of the crisis. Meanwhile, the lumbering slick is on the move after washing up in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama. The oil is now within 7 miles of Pensacola Beach, Florida. 37% of federal waters in the Gulf are now off limits to fishing. Mark Strassman is in Grand Isle, Louisiana tonight. And Mark, more oil is headed your way as well.
That's right, Katie. In fact, this island's about to get smacked by another wave of oil. I want you to take a look now. Local officials say they have never seen anything like it.
This is what's lurking off the coast of Grand Isle. Raw crude, miles of it. A slick more than twice as long as the 7-mile island.
Exactly 10 miles offshore, this boat is floating right in the middle of Grand Isle's latest and so far biggest threat in this disaster. All this oil, this is so heavy I can barely lift it, is part of a 16-mile slick that currents out here in the Gulf are now pushing to land. That's the oil slick right there.
Right. Aubrey Chasson, Grand Isle's fire chief, has to coordinate the island's response.
Do you have enough resources to go after it?
No, sir.
You don't?
I don't think we do. No, I don't think we do.
So some of it's going to come ashore?
I believe that.
On the sea bottom, BP engineers hoping to cut and cap the gushing wellhead were held up by a snag. Their diamond-sided saw got caught in a tangle of broken pipeline, and more oil spit out of the new cut. But the engineers got past it.
It's not so matter whether it can be executed or not. It can be. It's a question of how much precision we can bring to it.
As early as tomorrow, BP hopes to cap the well with a containment valve and attach a new pipe to siphon oil to a surface ship. Not plug the leak, contain it. And for BP, pressure's mounting. Within the next 24 to 48 hours, Florida's bracing for its first major landfall of oil near Pensacola.
Our state resources have determined that the oil sheen, with it are thousands of tar balls. Skimmers have been deployed near Pensacola.
On barrier islands off Mississippi and Alabama, an oil cleanup's underway. The good news, since President Obama's visit to Grand Isle last Friday, local officials report better coordination with BP and federal agencies.
It's kind of like a wife and a husband fighting. You don't get a divorce, you fix your problems. And that's what we've agreed to do.
Since the president's visit, the local fire chief says there are 3 times as many response workers on this island. He also says while local response leaders and national response leaders may have disagreements, at least now, once a decision is made, everybody's marching in the same direction. Katie?
And Mark, you know, this is the 44th day of the spill, and you've been covering it for well over a month. Clearly, today was the worst you've seen.
No question, Katie. Seen a lot of oil on land and in the water. Nothing like this, though. This was a solid sheet of oil, the consistency of cake mix. It was a couple of 100 yards wide, like a couple of football fields. There wasn't a response boat in sight. But the overwhelming impression was the smell. I mean, I have a fairly strong stomach, felt queasy for 45 minutes after we left the water. I think, Katie, that some of the response workers are going to have a very hard time out there.
Sickening and heartbreaking. Mark Strassman, Mark, thank you so much. According to the latest estimate, as much as 46 million gallons of crude has leaked into the Gulf, and BP is getting plenty of suggestions on how to stop it. Kelly Cobier is also in Grand Isle, and Kelly, those ideas are pouring into a special hotline.
Non-stop phone calls, Katie. BP says it's received more than 30,000 phone calls from people who all believe they have a way to fix this disaster. From Hollywood actors,
so we're going to start to get the oil,
to inventors in overalls on YouTube.
Each one of them can pull a lot of oil out.
There are ideas by the thousands for stopping the Gulf oil leak or soaking up the spill. James Cameron is offering expertise on deep dive watercraft he used while filming the Titanic.
Get in there, get in there.
YouTube has millions of hits, including this dad and daughter team from Florida. And there's this demonstration in an aquarium in Missouri.
And I can simply reach up underneath it and pick the whole glob up like that.
And there are dozens of plans diagrammed on paper.
A giant cork.
Even CBS News is getting submissions from our viewers. Actor Kevin Costner got BP's attention with an oil and water separator he's been investing in for 15 years.
It takes about 99% of the oil.
Yet many of the thousands of people pitching ideas say BP is not listening. This man drove 1,300 miles from his Wisconsin home to Houston because he couldn't get through on BP's hotline.
I know I can contribute to stopping this leak. That's what I know.
How many ideas have you gotten?
You know, we've had collectively over almost 10,000 ideas.
BP's Mike Usler says the company is listening to new ideas from the public and their own competitors.
In this room behind me and in our operations, we have people from Shell, from Chevron, from Exxon, who are all here working together.
BP says teams of scientists are separating the promising from the impossible, and they claim some 250 ideas are being tested now. From GPS equipment to better keep track of where oil is washing up, to massive ships that can skim it from the water. That machine touted by Kevin Costner clogged the first time it was tested with oil from this spill. Scientists are retweaking it and trying to retest it as well. And remember those booms made of hair? Well, they do soak up the oil, but BP says they also sink. Katie?
Kelly Kobiea. Kelly, thanks very much. Now, a couple of Democratic senators have a suggestion of a different kind. They say BP should stop paying dividends to shareholders until the cleanup costs can be calculated. And Ben Tracy tells us the company is now facing a consumer backlash.
They are destroying the Gulf of Mexico.
On YouTube, anger at BP is just a mouse click away.
Oh, hell yeah, it makes me feel real mad.
In fact, Stanley Morton is mad enough to take his yard clippings to a nearby BP and create his own spill.
Oh, Lordy, look what I did. Look what happened to my yard trash.
It was a BP sign that got trashed by vandals at this gas station in New York City.
I'm very disappointed in BP. I feel like I would never, ever want to support them.
The Facebook page calling for a boycott of BP now has nearly 300,000 followers.
Let's organize this boycott.
Boycott BP.
Every time you see BP, you just drive right on by.
But here's the problem. There are 11,700 stations selling BP gas in the U.S., but BP actually owns a small fraction of them. Most are owned by small business owners who then sell BP gas.
Owners like Mark Sapoznikov, whose station was also vandalized. He does not want to be blamed for BP's problems.
I'm not with BP. I'm just marketing their product because their product is good, not because I'm in love with BP.
After the Exxon Valdez spill in 1989, a one-day boycott did nothing to dent that company's bottom line. So this time around, Greenpeace says instead of a boycott, people should press Congress to regulate offshore drilling.
The most important thing that's going to hurt BP over the long haul is more regulation, more oversight, more investigation of their misdeeds.
BP is about to launch a multi-million-dollar television PR campaign, but the company has not been getting much help from its CEO, who at times seems tone-deaf to the loss of life and livelihood in the Gulf.
There's no one who wants this thing over more than I do. You know, I'd like my life back.
Today, in several major newspapers, the company ran a full-page ad saying, "We will continue working for as long as it takes, and our efforts will not come at any cost to taxpayers." But it's the price already being paid in the Gulf that has so many so upset.
Seal that leak now.
Ben Tracy, CBS News, Los Angeles.